I'm Liz with Coral. And first of all, thank you for having me here, Mike and everyone who's part of putting this together. I was at the session yesterday afternoon. It was totally inspiring, so it's really great to be part of this. So I'm happy to share about what we do in Maui with the Ka'anapali Makai Watch program, which was established in support of the Kahekili Herbivore Fisheries Management Area. And we are funded by the Division of Aquatic, the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and the Hawaii Tourism Authority to do this work. So first, some context, sense of place, where we are. West side of Maui, based over in the Ka'anapali region. There's two watersheds that have been deemed a significant priority, part of a big planning effort. And to give you an idea of why, there's been significant degradation to the reefs in this area, from a quarter of the corals having been lost over the last 13 years. And mainly it's because of land-based pollution, nutrients, and sedimentation. And back in 2010, it was designated as a priority site by the state, and then next year as a federal initiative by the U.S. Coral Reef Task Force. And to give you an idea, I'm sorry to show this horrendous monstrosity of a chart, but this is really to show you that there is a lot of effort underway in this area. In the past and in the present, it's the West Maui Ridge to Reefs Initiative, watershed planning. There's many, many entities, agencies, organizations involved. Primarily the overarching umbrella, it's NOAA, Department of the Interior, the Army Corps, DLNR, and all sorts of alphabets in there as well. And as far as my component, the component that I help co-coordinate, the Makai Watch program, that's where we fit in, and that's what I'll focus on. But there really is a lot of effort underway there, and many, many individuals, agencies, and organizations doing a lot of excellent work. And as it turns out, you've all heard about Makai Watch and what that is, so I don't need to go over this in great detail, but it is like the Neighborhood Watch program with the DLNR supporting communities in their organizations on a site-by-site basis, so very place-based. And the three components that are critical to any Makai Watch program are monitoring, so biological and human use, education and outreach, which is what I'll be focusing on primarily, and observation and compliance, which is incident reporting, working directly, strongly with DoCare. And there's a lot of overlap with education for all those components. So a little bit about who we are, who's doing what, in our team that's co-coordinating our program. Myself, with Coral Reef Alliance, I do a lot of education and outreach, and we also support the citizen science efforts that are underway within the Division of Aquatic Resources. It's Darla White up there. She coordinates research within the Division of Aquatic Resources, but also citizen science, where she has volunteers out there counting fish bites to quantify grazing. It's part of the assessment, and a lot of fun things there too. And then Luna, did we lose Luna? He did our opening this morning. He's part of our team, and he's been working primarily with the community. But we all sort of help each other in various things. There's a lot of overlap. And again, we don't do this alone. There's a lot of other partners and supporters and collaborators in the mix. Other Makai Watch groups, DoCare, other agencies, the scientists who are out there doing science. And then one big focus we've tried to focus on is working with the hotels in the region. There's quite a few of them. They're key stakeholders. There's a lot we can do to engage them in stewardship activities. So a little bit about this protected area, the FMA, the Kahekili Herbivore Enhancement Area on the west side of Maui within Ka'anapali region. The rules there that we are trying to help enforce and promote have to do with no take of herbivores. And this is a really unique, special type of protected area. This is the first time they use the ecosystem services in this manner, protecting the fish in a trophic group that graze because of that, the value of grazing in the face of nutrient enrichment to keep the algal cover down. So that's the idea, that's what we're hoping happens here, is by bolstering the herbivore populations, it helps let this reef sort of hang on and hopefully recover down the line. So you see the groups that are protected, the Nanui, or chubs, or rudderfish, the parrotfish, or uhu, the surgeonfishes, and the urchins. And another thing that was put into the rules was banning fish feeding in this area, which is important. The fish need to eat algae, not peas, bread, all the other junk that people decide they want to give them. So, and you can also see the boundaries. It's not a very large area either. So it's very experimental, it's very unique, and it's really exciting to be part of this, to see how this works down the line. Now, we do face a number of challenges, and this has been, I'm seeing the similarities as we go. Now, with this particular site, because the rules are so unique and it is difficult for people to understand what they are, what that means, and also difficult for DoCare to enforce. And we have heard a lot already about DoCare's limited capacity. I don't think it's a surprise. And also because of the difficulty of the rules to enforce, DoCare's less supportive of the site. It's all difficult and definitely part of the challenge. Now, we also know some of the challenges based on outcomes of the Creel fishing effort surveys that Luna was part of the coordination team conducted by University of Hawaii and Dr. Alan Friedlander. So that was just wrapped up earlier this year, and because of it, we have some more information about when fishing is occurring, where, what people are fishing for, how much, and the level of effort. And we know that of the top 5 species that were taken in the area, 2 are herbivores. 2 are the chubs, the Enanui, and the kala. So that tells us illegal fishing is occurring, and we can sort of pinpoint a little bit more of where it's occurring. And again, I'll get into the volunteer efforts as well. The volunteers are able to supplement and give us consistent, ongoing feedback as well when they see illegal fishing. We've also implemented some beachgoer surveys, kind of informal on a sort of sporadic basis here and there with outreach events. But that gives us an idea of people's awareness of the site. Again, kind of a weird, different kind of set of rules. So we'll go up to people and we'll ask them, have you heard of the Kahakili Herbivore Fisheries Management Area? And sometimes they'll be within arm's length of the sign, and they'll say no. So we also ask them, do you know, if they have, we ask them if they knew the rules, the boundaries, and all that. And we also ask them, what is a herbivore? Because that's an important question when you're calling it a herbivore area. And if they say that they know what a herbivore is, we then give them this quiz, asking them to identify the herbivores on this page with a little dry erase marker that are protected. So it is kind of interesting. We rarely get people that can 100% identify them all correctly. But part of this effort too, doing these surveys, that doesn't just tell us what people's awareness is, but it allows us to engage with them and then share about the area. Tell them, you know, here's our map of the site, here's the rules, and also why the rules are in place, what the herbivores do, why that's important, and why we need to really follow the rules so that we can test out the effectiveness of this area. Because this is a really, really neat experiment. People can still access the site. That's a key thing we like to share with people. You can still fish. It's just don't fish for these particular ones and understand what they are and why. So we'd like to see it succeed. We'd like to see people following the rules. And just to differentiate a little bit between the education and outreach component and the observation and incident reporting component of Makai Watch and what we focus on, I think with Drew and tomorrow at Makai, we'll be hearing a lot more about the compliance and reporting. We did have a project with DoCare and Makai Watch groups over the past couple of years where the community incident reporting form and protocols were standardized, so that was shared with the community. Part of that is that, and Randy talked about this yesterday, you know, safety first, you don't approach the violator. But in a lot of cases, when we're on site, we can talk to people in a very positive manner in an educational capacity because it's still new. The site is only 3 years old, so oftentimes we can prevent violations from occurring or stop them by approaching people who just didn't know and give them the information. Or hopefully next time they won't be coming there to fish for those particular species. So we do have a number of ways we're there, we have information that's there and we're not there, and we try to get the word out to the public about the site. So really what our program comes down to is promoting voluntary compliance. Again, we don't have the DoCare presence there, so that's pretty much what we're left with. And we do hope to improve that whole scenario in the future. So from the rest of my talk, I'm just going to give you some examples of some of the things we do, some photos, descriptions. Some of these things might apply elsewhere, but we do a lot of things on site based out of the Kahakili Beach Park in the area. We also do classroom trainings with partners. There's monitoring with Division of Aquatic Resources. They're all white in the bottom corner there. Often we'll do presentations that give the basics about Reefs 101, the KHMA, the ecology behind it, do a little bit of training about her protocols on the Herbivore Enhancement Area Survey and grazing surveys. We also work closely with the Hawaiian Islands Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary and their water quality monitoring program. So we teach the public about water quality and how to get involved in sampling every so often. Now, we have an awesome volunteer team, and you'll recognize John in the mix there, top corner. But some folks have come forward to be a part of this and help get the message out. and we do this in a number of ways. We'll have education stations established at events that we do. We also partnered with the hotel in the region that's right in the heart of it, the West Econopoly Ocean Resort. And depending on who the audience is, there's different messages with visitors. It could be general reef stewardship, not feeding the fish. Although we have been seeing visitors going out there to fish, and these are the ones they certainly do not know what herbivore is and all that. We also have a roving volunteer methodology. John has been great in being able to do that, where all you need is some materials, you need a shirt, look somewhat official, and you can talk story with folks on the beach and share the information. We also work with the youth, so any chance that we get, we'll host youth groups, school groups down at the site. We'll teach them about the area, again, why it's in place, what the rules are, what that means. There you see Luna talking about the importance of big fishes, keeping them around. We also have cultural experts from the area that come in and talk about that importance and the cultural significance. We teach them the throw net. And we also get the students out there doing the beachgoer surveys. And that's a great way for them to interact with the public and site users. It's not very scientific. We don't have an independent sample. We don't say every fifth survey. We'll say if there's fishers, you guys talk to the fishers. Because having local students talk to local fishers is a really good way to get the message across from messengers that they may hear and understand. Now, another initiative that has just become a new thing that's been a great way to get the word out when we don't have volunteers everywhere all the time or don't care everywhere either. We created the Adopt a Box program. And when I say we, I should say the volunteers came up with this. This started out because if you'll notice, the DLNR sign on the top isn't particularly engaging, a little confusing. So what happened was they attached some really colorful pictures of all the herbivores that were laminated to the back of the signs. And those would flap around and it would draw people to the signs. They would look at those, look at the sign, maybe get a better idea of the rules. Then over time it kind of evolved to have a literature box. Really simple, just post a literature box on the signpost. So these guys are awesome. They've sort of taken it on. They have the materials. They keep the boxes stocked with stuff. And someone going to the site can get an idea of what this is all about. So we have a team of volunteers, and they each have chosen different signs. And we were able to pinpoint a little bit better, based on the creel surveys, where the fishing was occurring in the northern end of the area. Just a little closer look at the boxes. We're trying not to give out too much paper, really. We want the boxes to almost be like a display in and of themselves. So we laminated stuff, bolted it onto there, and have some messages targeted to different audiences, but mainly have photos of all the protected species there. No tape, very clear. We also have information, some key phone numbers, if there's a violation, emergencies, someone sees a monk seal, key things like that, they know who to call. QR code to get to your website. On the right there, we have a panel geared more towards your average tourist visitor with reef etiquette, stewardship, the no trampling and no fish eating rule. The photo's kind of small, but there's a very graphic picture of a fish bite there that hopefully will deter people if they don't get the ecological messages behind it. And in the box, one of the key things we do want to keep giving out a lot of is the regulations booklet. For people who fish, they can look at that. And the volunteers have tabbed it, highlighted in yellow, the section on Kaakili. So anyone going to this area, encountering this box, looking into it, really has no excuse for not knowing what the whole thing is with the site, the rules, the regulations, after encountering that. So that could possibly be done elsewhere. I wanted to highlight that. It's a great initiative. We also do events on site every so often, like Earth Day. We'll invite other groups, have information, get people doing the various activities. International Coastal Cleanup Day, coming up in September. We've done this the past few years, and I've tried to really use this as a way to engage the hotels, kind of make a challenge out of it, get them all involved, and help facilitate by providing materials and resources, and again, giving them no excuse not to participate. It's super easy. Here's how you do it. So we've had the hotels involved in that too, and the community as well. One of the events I thought I'd highlight too that we've used, and this is something anyone can do, celebrate the birthday of the establishment of the protected area. So we've had this birthday bash the last few years. Last year, the Scripps researchers made some really creative cakes with ecological themes. Urchin cupcakes, how cool is that? So that inspired this year. We thought we'd incorporate that into our event and make a culinary contest with themes associated with the KHMA. So people are learning, they don't realize it. They'll come to our event, there's prizes, and we're out there doing outreach. We have all our materials, we're talking about the site, we're getting them involved. We have citizen science activities going on, as well as just our big outreach platform. So that was pretty fun. We also have a presence with social media. We use Facebook. We have pages for the Makai Watch program, as well as the KHMA. We've got a Twitter feed, and we use QR codes. It's a great way to bring people in online in that community, have interactions, have it linked back to the basic information about the site. And just real quick, if you are on Facebook and would like to vote in our culinary contest, we put the vote for a week. It closes on Sunday night, so you can see what people did. And again, it's a great way to bring people in a different setting as well. It's a little bit wider outreach. Not everyone's on Facebook, but for those who are, it's a great way to share what we're doing, bring more people in. Okay, we also have a static blog that we've been using here and there. And one thing we did with this is to invite community members and leaders from conservation groups to become contributors on the blog and post their own stories. So we've been doing this as well. Another tool that we put together in support of citizen science and also with an education focus is the Coral Reef Monitoring Data Portal. So the Division of Aquatic Resources grazing surveys protocols, as well as water quality monitoring, have been included in this. So people can enter their data, groups can enter their data. There's also resources, tools to learn how to do the surveys, supporting materials, and we've also created a kind of a database listing a lot of the groups statewide who are doing citizen science. So if someone's interested, they can go in and see who's doing what, contact them, and get involved. But the one protocol I did want to highlight that we are trying to do, and actually this can be done anywhere, and I would love to see it expanded, is the Special Observations Form, which has sightings of large terminal parrotfishes in grazing schools. So we're showing people about the meaning of the large fishes. Why do we want to see the large parrotfishes? About their differential reproductive output, also their differential grazing impact too. And same thing with grazing schools. This photo is not from the main islands, this is from Midway of all the herbivores. So we'll show that, and that's what we'd like to see. Maybe that's what it used to be like. Is it like that now? So we want to get that top level people's consciousness and also encourage them to submit data anytime they go in the water, because zeros are data too. So if you're not seeing parrotfishes that are large, why? We want to see them. Same thing with grazing schools. And in the end, we hope to start seeing this more, and that it can hopefully help people get involved in collecting the data that will indicate the effectiveness of some of these measures and other types of rules and regulations in place. Okay, now in the last segment I have, my last however many minutes I have, I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with observation and incident reporting in our DoCare team. This is from last year when they debuted the new protocols. But what we have going on with our program, recognizing some of the constraints and challenges, I think Drew was talking about having feedback earlier. Some of the things we've done in the last couple of years is just try to invite DoCare to come to a meeting with the community and just have a really informal talk story, because that might be the only time that people can ask questions about, hey, what happened when I called? And maybe nothing or maybe something, but either way, without that feedback, people don't know from both sides. So one thing we did was we established an online reporting system, really simple form, I'll show you in a second, that integrates the standardized community incident report form with some general fields too, and allows us to be the filter for information that may determine if it's relevant to pass on to DoCare or not. So Luna was in this role, and he's sort of the go-between to really improve the communications between DoCare and the community. And what we hope happens in the end is we can help demonstrate a need for increasing capacity for DoCare, and also improve community support for DoCare. So when there are responses, people do hear about it, and it sort of builds those bridges a little bit better. So a quick look at the form. The top checkbox is up there. If someone's out in the field, they have a smartphone, and go back to their computer after. We do ask them to characterize it. If it's just, hey, I saw something, it's probably not a violation, or we don't need enforcement going on. Or maybe I saw something before, I'm not sure about it, but you don't need to come out right now. Or here's something where I will be calling DoCare, and it does say call DoCare, but this form is used to collect the information. So that's what we have for the filtration. We also have the sites based in line with the Creel survey zones, so we can sort of pinpoint where what is happening. And then the quick summary, same thing. So if someone checks out fish feeding, we know where they were. Say it's within the range of a certain hotel, we can go and talk to them about, hey, remember to tell your guests about not feeding fish. And then general observations is just, hey, a Makai Watch volunteer might say, today I talked to this many people, and this was their response, and here's my list of observations. And then the rest of this just goes through what you find on the standardized form. And at the end, they can sign off, provide their contact info, and we added in the opportunity to upload a photo. And some of the stuff that has come through via first initially emails to Luna and our group, and then the forum, is just what's happening. Are people fishing? What do they seem to be catching? Who's fishing? Again, we are seeing visitors come out and try to fish in the area, and they need the most education. Fish feeding, trampling, actual violations like boats having been anchored in the coral, and other various things. And that brings me to the end. So I don't know how much time I might have for questions. Just a few minutes. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Got a couple, time for a couple questions, so just try to use the microphone so we can get on the table.
Liz, that's great, thank you. The last thing you just showed, is that something that other communities could use and do?
The forum, you mean the online forum?
Yeah, the online forum.
Oh, totally.
And did you say it goes to you can go from your cell phone to that, or is that an app?
What I meant was actually just like a fake app. When you go to the link on your iPhone, and just save the link onto your screen, and then it's really easy to access. So it's not an app. In fact, we'd love to have an app down the line, but it's just an online.
We could take that kind of thing and direct it to go to somebody else, not
Absolutely.
Not Luna,
Yeah.
because we want to get something.
We use 123 contact form, and the reason I chose that one is because you can get email notifications. So what happens is someone submits a form, and myself, Darla, Luna, all get the email, including the photos that were attached. And then we can decide, is this something we want to forward to DoCare right away or compile for later, does DoCare need to know? And so yeah, it seems like a really neat way to do it. So anyone can go and kind of create their own, and we did a lot of vetting with DoCare beforehand. So we didn't do this, we kind of got the okay, and this whole methodology was approved.